Sometimes you need one of those players on your team. You need one of those enforcers. Every good player, by the way. Every good player, every good team that is a super duper star. Most of the time have enforcer level.
In the ever-evolving arena of the WNBA, where talent, grit, and determination collide on the hardwood, the past season has provided both moments of brilliance and episodes of unnecessary brutality. The story of rookie sensation Caitlin Clark is one of promise mixed with adversity. As the league's emerging star, Clark faced more than just the challenges of adjusting to professional play. She encountered a level of physicality and cheap shots that threatened to derail her meteoric rise. For those who witnessed her debut season, it became painfully clear. Despite her dazzling skills, Caitlin Clark was repeatedly targeted by defenders who seemed determined to dampen her impact. Hard fouls, aggressive body checks, and a barrage of unwarranted physical contact painted a picture of a rookie being pushed to her limits. It wasn't just a question of defense, it was an issue of respect.
So the Indiana Fever have got their enforcer. They have got their enforcer for Caitlin Clark. And
critics and observers alike questioned why a player of her caliber should have to battle not only the opposing offense, but also a kind of underhanded, almost bullying approach to the game. Imagine stepping onto the court as one of the most electrifying new talents the league has seen in years. The anticipation of fans is palpable, and every dribble, pass, and shot is scrutinized. Yet for Caitlin Clark, the reception was anything but welcoming. Rather than being celebrated solely for her offensive prowess and playmaking abilities, she was repeatedly subjected to a barrage of hard hits and aggressive fouls, often delivered with a brutality more reminiscent of a boxing match than a basketball game. The numbers tell a striking story. Last season, a disproportionate percentage of flagrant fouls in the league were directed at her, signaling that opponents weren't merely defending, they were intentionally trying to slow her down. This wasn't just a matter of tough competition. It was as if some teams were using every tool at their disposal to send a clear message. We're not going to let you shine without a fight. And yet, through every challenge and every painful knock, Clark's response was one of resilience. With a blend of mental toughness and a refusal to let the adversities define her game, she managed to keep her focus on the court, proving that sometimes a true competitor grows stronger under pressure. But for a franchise built around her talents, letting such cheap shots persist was simply not an option.
I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to Caitlin Clark and their enforcer, last year everyone was talking about them needing an enforcer.
Enter the Indiana Fever, a team determined not only to protect their burgeoning superstar, but also to signal a broader change in the ethos of women's basketball. Rather than resigning themselves to the notion that hard hits and borderline dirty plays were an inevitable part of the game, the Fever's front office made a resounding statement. The era of bullying a rising star is over. In a move that could only be described as revolutionary, the Fever have retooled their roster by bringing in not one, not two, but 3 enforcers. These aren't just players with impressive statistics. They're athletes known for their ability to impose physicality, command respect on defense, and change the game's dynamics when it matters most. Their arrival is more than a tactical adjustment. It's a declaration that the team stands united behind Caitlin Clark. At the core of this new defensive paradigm is the understanding that every great offensive talent needs a strong supporting cast. In basketball, as in life, talent alone is sometimes not enough to overcome the forces that seek to undermine it. The Indiana Fever.
That was the closest thing they had for someone to defend Caitlin Clark was Erica freaking Wheeler. Maybe Temi, but Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early and they needed their Charles Oakley.
Recognizing this truth, have invested in veteran players who bring not only their defensive abilities, but also the kind of grit and leadership necessary to foster a culture of respect and accountability on the court. The first of these key signings is Natasha Howard, a player whose resume reads like a manifesto for defensive excellence. With 3 WNBA championships, a Defensive Player of the Year award, and numerous All-Star appearances, Howard is the embodiment of what it means to be a game changer on both ends of the floor. Howard's career is built on her aggressive defensive style, her impressive wingspan, and an innate ability to disrupt opposing offenses. On the court, she's known for her relentless energy, whether it's blocking shots, grabbing crucial steals, or simply altering an opponent's rhythm with her physical presence. Her reputation as a defensive stalwart has earned her the respect of teammates and adversaries alike. For the Indiana Fever, signing Natasha Howard is more than an acquisition of talent. It's a strategic masterstroke. Her presence on the floor is a deterrent to anyone contemplating a hard foul on Caitlin Clark. When Howard steps into the paint, opponents must reconsider their approach.
I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
One of the more intriguing aspects of Cunningham's game is her history of standing up for herself and her teammates. On numerous occasions, when faced with physical play that bordered on dirty, she has shown a willingness to push back not by inciting chaos, but by setting an example of resilience and determination. There's a sort of wild, untamed energy about her that reminds everyone that sometimes, in order to protect the spark of talent, you have to be willing to fight a little harder. Her arrival also alters the strategic landscape for the Fever. With Cunningham on the perimeter, opposing teams cannot simply collapse their defense on Caitlin Clark or any other playmaker. Cunningham's ability to stretch the floor means that defenses must remain honest, spacing out and covering shooters instead of stacking in the paint. This strategic spacing is essential in today's game, where floor balance can dictate the flow and success of an offense. Furthermore, Cunningham's personality off the court brings a layer of leadership and camaraderie that the Fever have been missing.
A little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that. How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you...
A veteran with a unique blend of street-smart intensity and a refined basketball IQ, she's poised to not only guard but also mentor the younger players on the team. In an environment that's evolving rapidly, her guidance can make the difference between a good team and a championship contender. No transformation is complete without the steady hand of experience. Enter Danana Bonner, the third enforcer whose signing rounds out the Fever's retooled roster with an infusion of veteran savvy and a championship mentality. Bonner's career is marked by multiple all-star appearances, clutch performances in the playoffs, and a reputation for being a relentless competitor. Bonner's impact goes far beyond her individual statistics. While her offensive numbers might not always jump off the page, her contributions are felt in the way she elevates her teammates. Her extensive playoff experience means that she has seen at all those nail-biting moments when every possession counts, and the pressure is at its peak. For a young team with dreams of deep postseason runs, having someone who has navigated that storm before is like having a seasoned general leading a battalion.
You can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court. It's stupid. It's so dumb. It looks like a soap opera.
Her approach to the game is holistic. Bonner isn't simply focused on scoring. She understands that leadership comes from a combination of on-court performance, mentorship, and the ability to break down the game's finer points during practice sessions. Reports from within the organization suggest that Bonner has already started studying the tendencies of both her teammates and opponents, eager to instill a mindset that prioritizes discipline, resilience, and a refusal to accept mediocrity. Bonner's role in the Indiana Fever isn't just about protecting a star, it's about transforming the culture of the entire franchise. In her own words, she's excited to be part of a team that's not content with merely making up the numbers on the stat sheet. Instead, she's determined to build a culture where every player, from the rookie sensation to the seasoned veteran, understands the importance of playing with heart and determination.
Strong a lot of times, and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle.
Her influence is expected to ripple through the locker room, forging a sense of unity and purpose that could propel the Fever to new heights. One of the most compelling aspects of Bonner's signing is the partnership that is forming with Caitlin Clark. In previous seasons, when Clark was repeatedly targeted, the team's lack of a protective presence left her vulnerable. With Bonner now in the mix, there's a palpable shift in the dynamic, a sense that the days of unchecked aggression are over.
I mean, that's clearly a foul which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
Bonner's leadership, combined with her willingness to engage physically and mentally with the opposition, sends a clear message. If anyone dares to cross the line, they will have to answer to a veteran who has fought tooth and nail for every inch on the court. Bonner's legacy is one of perseverance and excellence. For the Fever, she represents the missing puzzle piece that, when combined with the raw talent of younger players like Clark, could elevate the team from a promising contender to a bona fide championship squad. Her presence on the court offers reassurance to both fans and teammates alike. Here is someone who has not only experienced the highs and lows of playoff basketball, but has also mastered the art of leadership under pressure.
In Howard the Fever Gain, a three-time WNBA champion, a Defensive Player of the Year, an All-Star, and a veteran with more than 300 games played.
At its core, the Indiana Fever's roster overhaul is a statement about the kind of basketball they intend to play. This isn't merely an adjustment to plug defensive holes, it's a comprehensive strategy aimed at redefining the team's identity for years to come. In today's competitive sports landscape, success isn't solely determined by the individual brilliance of a star. It's measured by how well the team functions as a unit.